There are simple things that I have learned in life, but to me, there are no shortcuts in life. What's really important is very simple. There is nothing impossible in this world. If you put your heart and mind into it, believe me, it will happen. You need to educate yourself with finance. And I'm not saying it has to be accounting or anything complicated. You have to begin with personal finance. We have this consumer orientation. The moment you have money, you buy. Because it gives you consumer satisfaction. But the reality is, it's not all about that. So once you understand personal finance, you'd realize that it's very simple. All you need to do is just live below your means. Ibig sabihin, kumita ka na 100 pesos, you spend 60 pesos and you keep the 40 pesos. Diba? And I promise you, when you reach my age, you'd be happy to say, meron pala akong naipon.
In every corner of the Philippines, there are visionaries turning blueprints into realities, building not just homes, but communities where dreams can thrive. In this episode of the 100 Mapúan Stories, we shine a spotlight on a trailblazing developer reshaping how we live. Sustainable, future-proof, and powered by purpose. This is the story of NextAsia Land, led by its president and CEO, Engineer Cris Carreon. A Mapúan, a civil engineer, and a seasoned leader whose journey from telecommunications to real estate mirrors the spirit of innovation we celebrate in this series. Under his leadership, NextAsia has become a beacon of progress in South Luzon, creating homes that don't just shelter but inspire. Let's dive into the story of how one Mapúan's vision is transforming lives. One home, one family, and one future at a time.
Hello, fellow Mapúans! Nandito na naman tayo for another episode of our 100 Mapúan Stories. So last year, this is a continuation of the program. So last year, I think nakakalahati na tayo. So we're halfway. And of course, we're preparing for our centennial celebration for the civil engineering program or the homecoming of the MITC and Alumni Association come November 2025. Kaya abangan po natin yan. Now today, we have our guest, no other than Engineer Cris Carreon, He's the founder and CEO or president of NextAsia. Yeah. So this is very exciting, kasi he's basically the company is a developer,
Yes, we're a developer
housing.
Ayan,
So yung mga alumni natin dyan, mga students rin natin, who are interested in this field, in this area, makinig lang kayo. Marami tayong matututunan with Sir Cris today. All right? Okay. So, diretso na natin, Sir Cris,
sir. Oo, sige.
Okay. So, Sir Cris, kasi siyempre, unang-una, we're talking about our centennial celebration, and this is a program really that we have came up with, to celebrate, the legacy of Mapúa University. And when say legacy kasi, actually, ang talagang nagpapakita niyan are the graduates, of the programs that the university offered, And isa po kayo sa produkto niyan. Pero before tayo pumunta diyan, paano nga ba ninyo pinili? Ba't kayo sa Mapúa nag-enroll? And why civil engineering?
Francis, believe it or not, there were only two schools that I enrolled in. I took the entrance exams. One is UP and Mapúa. And the decision was very simple. I used to live in the northern side of Metro Manila. And the choice was between two great schools. And Mapúa was the easiest, may LRT. Wala pa pala LRT noon. Pero that was the main reason. Even during our time, Mapúa has been known to be, if not the top, one of the top engineering schools in the Philippines. So, yun yung dahilan.
Totoo yan. Even in our province, ang pronunciation pa Mapúa, Mapúa.
Mapua, tama.
Pag sinabi Mapúa, ako, yung engineering, yan lang yan. Yan lang alam nila engineering school.
Nothing beats that school.
Alright. And why civil engineering? Bakit to civil engineering ang napili nyo? Meron ba kayong nag-influence ba sa inyo? Or...
I'll give you a short answer. Sabi ng father ko, civil engineering ang kunin mo.
Okay. Siyempre.
Siya magbabayad eh. Why argue, di ba?
Okay, but nung bata ba kayo, meron na ba kayong kinahiligan noon na talagang tingin nyo, tanggap ninyo na civil engineering yung one nyo? Are you amazed with structures or...
No, let's just say that, I've always been very analytical, very administrative, and very calculative in terms of how I do things, And my father was saying, like what I was saying niya, magaling ka naman sa math eh.
Ayun.
Importante
yun.
What do you know? You were young. I've always wanted to be a lawyer, personally. But at that time, he won the argument na you're better off becoming a civil engineer.
Okay.
So, that was it.
Alright. Sige. So, importante talaga yung kaalaman natin or yung foundation natin sa mathematics. No?
Oh, yes.
To engineering. Now, Sir Cris, pag-usapan naman natin ngayon yung paano kayo nag-umpisa after graduation. Pero papayawan rin natin yung board exam experience, di ba? So, then after that, yung after graduation, ano yung una yung naging work? And paano kayo, paano kayo nag-umpisa and narating yung position now as President of NextAsia. So, ito yung, lalo na yung ating mga students dyan. And of course, yung mga nasa mga early career civil engineers natin. Can please share with us how ano yung naging experience nyo with that?
Okay, let's start with from the beginning when I was 21. Okay. The first job was, let me recall, actually I left for the States. Okay, I explored various opportunities there, see if a fresh civil engineering graduate would have a place there. A few things that I realized, the disciplines are different, the schooling is different. So, yung exploration na yun only lasted for about a year. So I came back to the Philippines and started practicing sa isang project. In fact, I worked for a construction firm for about a year, if I remember it right. So, nasa field ako, I was dealing with the construction crew and the foreman, ganon. So, typical construction management. But like I said, it only lasted a year, and then I realized that there are other things that I wanted to do. But at the same time, bringing with me the skills or the analytical thinking that I developed as an engineering graduate. I shifted towards a job in corporate that was more on administration of properties. And from there, the other thing that I realized that I can be good at was in sales and marketing. So, of course, the degree in civil engineering was very helpful kasi yung pinasok ko is more of field that requires technical understanding. So I've worked for companies the likes of Smart, multinationals like Alcatel, Lucent, yung AT&T, so that was my career path, It was my acceleration towards the corporate ladder was very fast. Kasi ganun ang yung mga multinationals, they recognize productivity. So they won't hesitate to promote you even if you were very young, So I held positions that are, more suited for people 10 years older. But I was fortunate, I was given those opportunities. So the first 15 years of my life was really in corporate. So I've traveled extensively. I even had a regional post. I was based in Shanghai for a while. And I've traveled the headquarters. I worked for a French multinational, so I visited Paris quite a few times, and I worked for Lucent. So I was going to the New Jersey headquarters also. So at a very young age, an engineering graduate of Mapúa, I got exposed to international disciplines and how things are done, which is quite different from what we're used to here. Ang importante kasi sa kanila, output eh. So those are the disciplines and skills that I acquired over the 15 years that I worked for these companies.
Sir Cris, for this segment naman, pag-usapan na natin, syempre, ito, NextAsia.
This one,
Diba? I think ito yung pinakil ngayon ng inyong career ninyo, no? So, NextAsia. Ano po bang NextAsia?
Well, NextAsia, okay. From my corporate days, I took early retirement actually. I was able to exercise some very attractive stock options. It was sufficient for me to actually not work so much anymore, so I retired. Retired in the sense that I don't go to the office ng 9 to 5. So I started with the savings I got from my corporate life at the age of 36. Nag-retire ako sa office work, no? So I did a lot of golf, I played a lot of golf, tapos nagbi-build and sell ako. We moved here sa Alabang area. So I was buying old houses, nire-renovate ko, fini-flip. And then, after a few years, my sons was asking me, sabi niya, Dad, why don't we start our own business? So sabi ko, I will only get into a business that I understand. Remember, I'm a civil engineering graduate. I understand cost estimates, construction management. So sabi ko, let's get into, let's incorporate the company and call it NextAsia. So that was 13 years ago. So from build and sell, we expanded into townhouses. So at first, 50 townhouses, masaya na kami, Then, as the saying goes, mahirap masatisfy easily ang tao. So that's when we decided, we made a pivot to go towards actual development. So, yun na. We now do by the hectares na, So we do 10 hectares, 20 hectare subdivisions. But we don't sell lots only. We're addressing the market, the demand. Currently, I'm sure you've heard in the news, even si BBM, the president, was saying, we have a 6.5 million housing backlog. That's, alam mo, if you were to look at it, those numbers are staggering. On top of that, there's a huge yearly demand of 300,000 on top of the 6.5 million. So if you were to ask me next year, yung backlog hindi na 6.5. The net is about 6.7. Kasi nakaka-produce naman na ang buong industry, we produce about 200,000 houses. That includes the big developers, sila Ayala, Mega World, and all that, those large developers, including us, kaming mga middle size developers, So in our own little way, we help address the housing backlog. So that is where NextAsia is. We are now in Calabarzon. We have a few subdivisions. I think about 5 or 7 subdivisions are ongoing now. And we continue to expand. Of course, we open 1 or 2 subdivisions every year, and hopefully a little more next year. But this year we're pretty okay. So business-wise, you're actually addressing the market. First-time home buyers. There's really social impact, especially when you're turning over a house. Pakita mo yung expression nung tumatanggap ng bahay, that this is their life savings. Ang tagal nagtrabaho ni tatay sa Dubai and nakapag-ipon. So when you turn over the house, it's very fulfilling. Okay, the new subdivisions, one is located in Calamba. We call it Esnya by NextAsia.
Estonia in Calamba.
In Calamba.
Okay.
And then we have another one in Lipa City. It's called Florence Lipa by NextAsia.
Florence in Lipa. Florence Lipa.
That's about roughly, I think, about 10 hectares. And then we are launching a new one, medyo sizable. Today is about 21 hectares. This one naman, ang tawag namin dito, the name is Barcelona by NextAsia. It's all European-inspired, What makes our differentiator sa market is that we are very forward-looking. Primarily because my background is really in technology, So we have merged technology and your traditional brick-and-mortar housing, So all our developments are Next Green Certified. We have our own brand. When we say Next Green Certified, number one, all our subdivisions or all our communities, regardless of the size, be it 5 hectares or 20 hectares, it's broadband ready. So we have a partnership with either Converge or PLDT. But during the site development or land development, pinapapasok na namin sila, nagkakabit na sila na fiber optic. Number 2, all our streets are solar powered. Why solar power? Hindi kami nagso-solar power sa mga bahay kasi, the truth of the matter is, hindi pa rin siya viable. Even if may critical mass na, the cost is still prohibitive. The payback takes about 4 or 5 years. It does not make sense. It's your first home, first house, tapos gagastos ka sa solar.
So, these are the common areas, like
all the common areas
and
are
parks.
solar powered. Cost namin yun, no? So, malaki bawas noon sa monthly dues nila as homeowners kasi wala na sila babayaran kuryente.
Libre.
Libre na dahil we installed the solar powered street lights. And then number 3, and I was telling you earlier nga long before the EV explosion in the Philippines, we already announced 2 years ago that all our subdivisions are ready for EV charging. So meron kaming slots dun sa subdivision where your guests, your visitors can charge their electric vehicles.
Wow.
Remember, this is affordable housing. So you don't have to live in a premium village like Forbes Park or Dasmariñas Village to enjoy this kind of amenities. So that's how it is. We're very forward-looking. We have merged technology and lifestyle living in all our developments.
Okay, good. So, ngayon, I heard, sir, na meron kayong bagong initiative, no? Itong IPO initiative. Ayan. So, yan ang susunod natin pag-usapan. No? Very interesting to, no, fellow Mapúans, no? Makinig kayo mabuti kasi one is this could be a good opportunity for you, no, to participate with and also to learn, no? Kasi this is like it's the first time I heard, no, from a fellow Mapúan, no? This is company and so na mag-IPO. So first ito, no? I think for me, no, Vietnamese is the first na ganitong initiative. So yan, pag-uusapan natin in our next segment. Sir Cris, ito, very excited din ako dito sa segment na to, sa pag-uusapan na to. Yung big initiative nyo ngayon, yung IPO initiative ninyo. But of course, sa kaalaman ng naming lahat, kasama na rin ako, can you first discuss to us, ano ba tong IPO and why a company goes IPO, ganyan? And then after that, we can talk about the specific initiative of NextAsia.
Sure. Oo. Sige, let me start with the basics. When you run a business, the most expensive capital is your own money. It does not make sense sometimes, but the reality is all banks will tell you that. Kasi it's always cheaper to borrow money. You pay what? 7.5%, even 6% for certain banks. So when you start a business, you have a share of your own money and a loan from the bank. So that's how business works. So first, you borrow from the bank. So ito yung tinatawag na commercial loans. But every time you borrow from a bank, hindi ganun kasimple. You have to put up a collateral, you have to submit documents, cash flow, you have to prove that your business makes sense, that you have the economic engine to pay back the loan. Pwede naman yun. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing now. Whenever we have a project, we get a large bank to do the project financing. We pay our share, and then part of it, they finance. Pero maraming covenants kasi yan, na hindi ganun kasimple. So that's one way. You borrow from the banks. And then the other way is, of course, you can issue a corporate note. Iba naman to, no? In corporate note naman, you have to establish your reputation in the banking industry. Tapos mag-issue ka ngayon ng corporate note, uutang ka din. Pero wala ka ng collateral noon. Diba? So that's one way of raising money. And there are a number of ways of raising money actually for the business. Ngayon, yung IPO is actually going to the public. Okay. Ito na yung Philippine stock market. I was telling kay si Dean Francis kanina, sabi ko, hindi naman to ang pagiging listed company, hindi naman to exclusive sa mga graduate ng Harvard or even the top Ateneo schools, ano. Pwede rin ito sa ating mga taga-Mapúa. We just need to understand how it works. And the system is there. You can take your company public by selling 20% of your ownership. Kasi public ka na eh. Okay, so you make a valuation, kukuha ka ng investment bank, tapos sila mag-evaluate ano yung value ng company mo, and then you sell 20% of your company to the public. So ngayon, makikita mo yan sa Philippine Stock Exchange, di ba? Sila, yung mga stock market na indexes, masasama ka na doon. So kami, yun ang aming, we'd like to be part of that. We're not saying it will happen 100%, but we are hopeful, We've already done our homework, we've met with the PSE people, we've met with the SEC people, and they've said, it's possible. But syempre, may mga parameters that we need to meet, like top line, what kind of revenue we need to meet, and we're getting there. That's our direction. So we'd like to go on IPO and list the company. And this is not going to happen overnight. Number one, the market is really bad. Unfortunately, the new U.S. president is affecting the whole world. So pati Philippine stock market is affected. So we just have to wait. But in the meantime, we are preparing. The company has been well managed. Sana naman. It turns a profit year on year, even during the pandemic times, like I mentioned earlier. The affordable housing segment was pandemic proof. The only problem that we had that time was actually how to deliver kasi walang construction, pinatigil eh. Pero yung demand nandun, imagine, online na daming tumatawag sa amin para umorder ng para mag-reserve ng bahay. So, pandemic proof yan. So, more so now, tuloy-tuloy yung negosyo. It's very crowded, it's very competitive, but the differentiator makes the difference. So, yun yung importante. So, beyond being an engineer, you need to improve your creative side of the business. So, after my engineering schooling, I furthered my studies. I took up MBA from AIM. So, ang transcript ko nandun na. And that really helped me a lot. Even my sons went to AIM kasi you need to arm yourself with the proper knowledge to understand how to raise funds. Real estate development is about capital markets. So, very capital intensive. You have to raise money. So, which is why that initiative, that we will go public. So, that's one reason, you can raise funds through the public markets. My other reason why I wanted to take the company public is because now you need to be compliant. Ibig sabihin, kailangan magbayad ng taxes mo. And to us, myself and my sons, we really don't mind kasi this is part of nation building. You pay your correct taxes, you report your revenues, and then it's part of nation building. That's part of being a Mapúan. It's beyond being an engineer, but you have to give something back to society. And you do that by paying your correct taxes. So, I'd like the company to be compliant. And then we go back to you were saying, di ba? Yung saying na yung first, second, third generation, di ba? I'm already handing over to the second generations. Second generation, my sons are already in the business. My concern is more of the third generation, yung mga apo ko na ang cute-cute ngayon, but but later on, wala na ako, I don't know what's gonna happen. So, by taking the company public, meron ka ngayong compliance na kailangan gawin, which is number one, you need to ensure that the company is growing on an annual basis, be it 10%, 20%, or 30%. Because right now, we're growing very fast. We do 50%, in fact, this year we'll grow 100%. By being a public company, everything is transparent. So, kung sino man yung magte-take over from my sons, say third generation, or we have new partners who will come in, we will see to it, or we have to see to it that we are growing because the market is watching us. Diba? The value of shares is reflected by the performance of the company. So that's how that's the reason why, personal for me, why I want to take that initiative. But of course, you'll never know. But the plan is there. That's our direction.
Okay. Then, regards to the IPO, Anong pwede nyong, I mean, would you like to invite our alumni and their friends, no? Ano ba, abangan ba nila to last quarter this year or?
No, it's too soon for this year. No? The release will be sometime probably middle or late next year. Well, look, I'm not, I'll be the last person to actually encourage you to take the risk of investing in our IPO. But, take a look at it, see if it's worth your time, if it's a company that's worth investing in. If it is, then it's your discretion if you want to consider it. But if not, we'll understand. Trabaho naman na underwriter yan eh. The moment we sign up with them, they'll see to it that we are traded properly.
Ayan. So, yeah, so I think very interesting, very interesting tong IPO initiative ng NextAsia. Especially, na-mention naman ni Sir Cris kanina yung word na nation building, no? And Mapúans, of course, we're celebrating our 100 years, no? And that's the legacy, I think, that Mapúa, no? Established, no? In the not just in part of the country, but the entire country, no? Kasi ang legacy naman nandiyan sa mga accomplishment ng ating mga graduates, like Sir Cris, no, and many of us, no, have been contributing to initiatives or any cause or programs or projects, di ba? So talagang nation building, no? Part talaga
exactly.
ng ating pagiging Mapúan. Tama na sabi nga ni Sir Cris. Right, so anyway, sir, abangan nila yan, yung IPO. So I'm sure we'll have more updates, no, in the coming months ano. And this is very exciting kasi it's the first time that I learned that Mapúan owned and led company, no, will go IPO. Diba?
We'll see.
So, abangan natin yan. Alright? Okay, for the next segment naman is, siyempre sa experience nyo, no, Sir Cris, sa ilang taon nyo na, no, pagiging isang entrepreneur, ganyan. So, I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom there that maybe you can somehow share, no, with our students and fellow Mapúans, right? So, pag-usapan natin yan in our next segment. Okay, for this segment naman, so we'll hear from Sir Cris, no, kasi with his vast experience as a civil engineer and now entrepreneur. And ano kayong may share niya sa atin ng mga payo or maybe a quotation or a principle na sinusunod niya para maging successful sa career and sa business?
Alam mo, there are simple things that I have learned in life. There are a lot of sayings that you encounter in your life. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really up to you whether you will follow it or not. But to me, ang tatlo lang naman yung aking napaka-importante that I think that I can share with you as an engineer entrepreneur. Number one, the importance of ethics. You need to understand the value of your word of honor. There are no shortcuts in life. What's really important is hard work. As long as you believe in that, very simple, there is nothing impossible in this world. If you put your heart and mind into it, believe me, it will happen. So, but avoid graft, be ethical, be fair, wag mong, don't go for shortcuts. Okay, secondly, as an entrepreneur, you need to understand your economic engine. This is something I learned in MBA school. In order for you to have a real business, the business should be able to sustain itself. There's no such thing as connection. There's no such thing as, yung mga sinasabi ni Mr. Goku Mohino, chamba, di ba? Bakit why am I saying ang connection is not part of an economic engine? Because ang connection will allow you to do a project kasi may connection ka. But what if that connection is no longer around? So then how can it sustain itself as a business? So the business should be able to stand on its own, meaning to say you address your addressable market and let the market buy from you. That is what a business is all about. That is what you call an economic engine. Okay. Thirdly, you need to educate yourself with finance. And I'm not saying it has to be accounting or anything complicated. You have to begin with personal finance. Unfortunately, that's not in the typical Philippine curriculum. I won't even dare say na it's nawala sa engineering school. It's not in the curriculum. We have this consumer orientation, no, na the moment you have money, you buy. Because it gives you consumer satisfaction. But the reality is, it's not all about that. So once you understand personal finance, you'd realize that it's very simple. All you need to do is just live below your means. Ibig sabihin, kumita ka na 100 pesos, you spend 60 pesos, and you keep the 40 pesos. Diba? That is what personal finance is all about. So, tatlo lang yun. Ethics, understand your economic engine, and personal finance. And I promise you, when you reach my age, you'd be happy to say, meron pala akong naipon. Diba? And that way, you don't have to rely on your young family or your children to look after you. It should be the other way around. It should be us looking after them, diba? Ensuring that they are able to stand on their own and be independent. That is what
Ayan. Okay. So,
life is all about.
Pakinggan natin, ha. So, that's one to, no? Very important, no? So, came straight, no, from Sir Cris, no, from his past experience. And how about for our students, sir? May payo rin kayo sa mga student natin na nag-aaral pa sa Mapúa.
Ganito yun. For our students, you're a Mapúan now. Just like me, you are a Mapúan now. Okay. The key thing is, bear in mind, you are in one of the best universities in the Philippines. Maybe I would even dare say in Asia. But no amount of good education will amount to anything unless you believe in yourself. Diba? Keep in mind, what's important is you need to focus. Pili ka lang anong gusto mong gawin, di ba? You choose what you wanted to do and focus on it. Huwag kang gagawa ng, gusto kong maging ganito, tas sabay-sabay. Walang mangyayari doon. Remain focused. And I promise you, it's going to happen.
May focus ka, may priority ka, no? Kasi kung everything is your priority, you don't have a priority. Ganon din sa focus.
It's not all about money. It's what you wanted to. But don't get me wrong, kasi di ba minsan sabihin, it's not about money, so gagawin ko magiging painter na lang ako. That's not how it is, di ba? You have to look at the basic needs of a person. You have to address that first. So when you say focus, if you wanted to be a successful engineer, just make sure that that is what you wanted to do. Diba? Wag multiple. Na gusto mo maging successful engineer, gusto mo maging stuntman, gusto mo maging, di ba? Oo, hindi pwedeng sabay-sabay. Do things one at a time. The key word is focus.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sir Cris, no, for those words of wisdom, the principles you've shared. And of course, no, to our fellow Mapúans, again, no, this project or the 100 Mapúan Stories is a project that's supported by the MIT CNC Alumni Association in our celebration of our centennial, 100 years ng Mapúa University.
I didn't even know that, ano?
Yes, and also, centennial Mapúa, no? And 100 years din ng civil engineering program.
Oh, even better. Oo.
Kaya makita nyo, yung mga episode natin, ang ating mga guests ay mga civil engineering graduates. Kasi, of course, the first two programs that were offered in 1925 and this was established is civil engineering and architecture. Kaya double celebration talaga tayo this year. Kaya come November, magkita-kita tayo, no? Together, no, with our CE and kasama rin yung sanitary engineering family natin, no, in November, no, to celebrate
I will be there.
Centennial. Okay, then given that, ano pong mensahe nyo sa ating community in celebration of our centennial?
Oh, that's really very important. Thank you for for asking me to share my thoughts, Francis. To the students of Mapúa who are still in the university, bear in mind, you are now part of a legacy. Okay, 100 years is no joke. Actually, I was surprised to find out na 50-year-old, 100-year-old university na pala ang Mapúa. So you are now part of the legacy. So please take care of what the past graduates have built for the university, for the name Mapúa. Take pride that you are now part of Mapúa. And now for our alumni, the graduates, this is the time to renew your pride. Diba? Alam na natin yan diba? Pero some of us have forgotten, I'm actually one of those, I've forgotten that I was actually once a student of Mapúa, and more so now that I take pride in being part of this glorious university. So, renew the proud moments of being a Mapúan.
Yan. Thank you, Sir Cris. Yan nga, no? Centennial Mapúan. Yan. And as a small token of appreciation, Sir Cris, no?
Oh, salamat.
Please accept this, no? This is our Centennial Mapúan shirt.
Oh, very nice.
And medyo pinagtanong ko yung size nyo, kaya hope tama.
Pati color, color. Corporate color namin yan.
Talaga?
Red and green.
Tama-tama pala kasi there's also black, no, for this shirt. And by the way, this shirt, no, is actually part of our fundraising program for Mapúa Global, no? That's another organization helping our athletes. No?
Oh, okay.
So ito yung kanilang Centennial Mapúan shirt. And,
sige, pa-orderin ko yung mga classmates ko.
So, kan po, no?
Batchmates ko sa,
yan.
sa CE.
So, pwede nyo isuot in your, pag nag-golf kayo, pwede na siguro yan.
Oo, pwede to.
Ayan.
Francis, thank you so much.
Alright, thank you, sir, for this interview, and we learned a lot from you for today's episode.
So.
And yun, abangan natin yung mga iba pang mga initiatives, upcoming initiatives ng NextAsia, of course, under the leadership of Sir Engineer Cris Carreon. Okay? So, magkita...
Mapúan.
Mapúan. A proud Mapúan.
A proud Mapúan.
Proud Mapúan. So, that ends our episode for today. And, of course, patuloy po na subaybayan natin yung ating programa, 100 Mapúan Stories. And we have until October pa na mag-run itong program na ito. And we hope to invite, have more guests, no, to in the coming months, so that we'll be able to complete the 100 episodes na pinapangarap natin.
Good luck.
Good luck sa atin. Alright, so abangan nyo yung next episode, and together, no, let's continue to be proud Mapúans. As sabi nga ni Sir Cris, is yung legacy, no, na establish, no, ng community, no, not 1, 2 or 3 person, but imagine the number, thousands of graduates, no, from the institution, formerly Mapúa Institute of Technology, now Mapúa University, and we are celebrating 100 years, no, a century of excellence, no, a century, no, na legacy ng ating institution ng Mapúa. Of course, as presented by the graduates. Okay, thank you very much, no, sa lahat ng mga nag-abang at nanood nitong episode na ito. At magkita-kita tayo muli, no, sa ating susunod na episode. And all together, let's continue to be proud Mapúans.
Viva Mapúa!